Hey, it's Nathan Rose, and this morning we're going to try another rapid game. 15 minutes plus 10-second increment, and I'm recording this after, frankly, having a disastrous session yesterday. I got up to, well, you may have seen I recorded a video a few days ago where I mentioned that I crossed 1800 on chess.com, the first time I've ever done that. And then yesterday I was almost up at 1850. But then I lost a game I should have won, and then lost another game I should have won, and I got frustrated and I went into full-on tilt mode where I was not patient, I was not seeing my opponent's threats, and yeah, I've dropped a lot of rating. So let's try and fix that. Let's try and get this back up again. I've got my morning coffee here, and we'll set the range, as I always do, to between plus 100 or minus 100 points from me. So let's see who we get, and let's see what color pieces I get. Alright, I'm black, and I'm playing someone who's in the 1800s. Alright, 1832. This guy should be good. Now, yesterday, the opening, which was going especially badly for me, was when I had the black pieces against 1d4. So I've got that again. Let's see if I can do better. And lately I've been learning the King's Indian defense, which is not an easy opening to learn. There's lots of different setups that white can try. At the moment my opponent is trying one of the main ones though, so this is one that at least I should know fairly well. Okay, now this move is a bit unusual. Bishop d3. Normally white puts the bishop on e2. And the reason for that is that the d4 square can get a little bit weak. Notice that d4 is no longer protected by white's queen. So d4 can be a weakness, which you can target later with moves like knight c6, and if this knight moves, then the bishop on g7 can also target the d4 pawn. But first we'll castle, get the king safe before trying too many theatrics, and he pushes on with e5. Now I'm sure that that is unusual, huh? Like, that isn't a move which I've studied, so now I'm going to take a moment to just work out if this is an incorrect move, then why is that an incorrect move? Now ideas that come to mind, maybe I could hit white's queen, but that doesn't work because he can defend it with f3, and then I've got two pieces on pre. You may have heard that there's some noise in the background. I don't know whether that comes across the microphone. Unfortunately, my neighbours have decided that right now, Sunday morning, is a good time to do some work in their garage. Yeah, and this is the time of day that I've got to record my videos, so I hope it's not too loud. Alright, I should also not get into too much time trouble though. Okay, e5, I mean the obvious thing is to just take it, and then he takes here. And then I can play a move like this, which hits the pawn with two pieces. I think I'm just going to go for that. Okay, so he recaptures immediately. Probably even set that up as an auto recapture. But if I go here, then this pawn is attacked twice. And how does he defend it? Well, he could play like this to defend with the pawn. Probably his most likely move. And if he defends it with a piece, then I can just take it, because I'll have, imagine, the knight attacking e5, and also the bishop will be attacking it. So he's going to have to play, f4 in the next move. What's my reply to f4? Well, I mean, he's just weakening his structure around his king, so maybe I'm not too worried about it. But then the knight will have to move to a different square. I could also consider this move, which keeps things a little bit tighter, but it also keeps me a bit more cramped. I'd rather not do that if I can help it. Decisions, eh? This looks like the most active option. Notice that the knight is defended, so for the time being I'm okay. What I've got to watch out for is f4, in which case I can't take the pawn, and then the knight is vulnerable to a move like h3. So I need to come up with a follow-up to give this knight mobility after white's next move, which I'm almost certain is going to have to be f4. Because if he doesn't play f4, I win a pawn. That's what he does. So the move that I'm now concerned about is h3. If he plays h3, then the knight's got to move, and I'm having to move it to a square that I wouldn't really like to move it to. I've just seen this as an option. I mean, coming in straight away with a threat, right? Like if I come here with the queen, then that threatens checkmate. Or if he can stop the checkmate, which, let's see, he probably can, but we'll calculate it. Okay, so that creates a threat, which means that h3 isn't so worrisome. And it also gives my knight some escape squares. Like it could move here, or even if he does stop checkmate, then he could move here. Like let's see, here, and then here stops checkmate. Then I could plant the knight on this square, which looks pretty nice, or even take that knight there. This looks pretty juicy, huh? The only thing with a move like this is you have to worry about discovered attacks. So can my opponent reveal an attack on my queen with tempo, right? Like there's no discovered check here, I'm pretty sure. My king's safe enough, and this bishop can't give a check in one move. This move here also just asks white more questions, I think. I'm going to play it. One more time, just check. If he plays here, it's looking very bad for him if the queen comes to the square. Let's go. Right, so he defends with the queen like this. Looks like he had that move ready to go, huh? Like he was waiting for me to play it. All right. Well, he wants to play fast. I'd better increase my speed as well. All right. So now the knight can't really go here because there's enough defense on that square. So if I do get hit by h3, I will have to retreat, and I will have to retreat back to this square, which is not an ideal square for the knight. So what we have to do is try and look for ways to keep the pressure up as much as possible so that he doesn't get a chance to play h3, or if he does, then he's going to have some other problems to deal with. A move like rook d8 is tempting because this bishop then has to move, and where does it move to? It could move, I guess it could just move backwards, but I like having my opponent move backwards. The other thing is to develop this knight, but that's not quite fast enough. That does allow h3. I'm not worried about this bishop coming in because I could just take it with the knight well placed there. Let's go here, keep the pressure on, keep asking my opponent some questions. This is always a good thing to do. Now a move like this isn't possible either because he's got to do something about his bishop. So I think so far I'm doing pretty well. I've been developing my pieces with tempo. I've got white's king stuck in the center. I've got some squares where he has some concerns on. Okay, so he comes in with the knight now. That's a decent move, I think. That's a pretty good move. He has got the check now, so watch out for that one. And what else does he have? He could also take this pawn. So he's got a couple of threats, but at the moment his knight. Okay, if his knight moves with check, then of course he's okay because yeah, check means that I have to respond to it. But he doesn't have time for a move like this one because the bishop drops. All right, but okay, then he takes the rook. I'm just going to defend against this threat. I think that's sensible. He can take a pawn, but I think that's all right for me. So now he comes in with his knight. So now I'm a little bit less comfortable with my position. So he's he's okay, developed a piece, and my queen doesn't have a lot of squares, so I've got to be careful. I've got to be very careful, actually. My queen can't go to any of these squares, or this square. In fact, the only square it can go to is this square, so that makes it easy. I mean, when you only have one possible move, then you can play it with a lot more confidence, can't you? Yeah, my queen's under attack, and there's only one square it can escape to, so let's put it there. So now that move comes, the one that I knew he was going to play. He is leaving his king a bit exposed though, so just keep an eye on that. You can always think about responding to a threat with a bigger threat. Like I could also hit his knight, ask it to move, or I can retreat my own knight. What's most well, most active of course is this, but it might also just be bad. Let's see. If he goes here, then I've got two pieces under attack. Knight on this square attacks the rook, pawn attacks the knight, so let's retreat. Not that I'm really liking that. It's funny actually, white has sort of played this a bit like a reverse King's Indian. It's often black who ends up in a space disadvantage at the start of the game, and then slowly is able to chip away and develop his pieces, and that's sort of what white's done in this game, I feel. So the queen's attacked again. I can retreat with check, which is probably a good move, and also defends this square. And, well, he'll probably move his bishop to block that check, I would imagine, in which case I can go back. No, I can't go there. No, I can't go there, because then the knight would take it. Or, what other ways can I get out of this check? This, and then go back. Well, again, I don't really have any other squares, do I? I don't have any other places to put the queen, so let's just play the only move that I can possibly make. This is certainly not as comfortable as I was before. Right, that's the only move. And it's check. If he goes here, I think I've just got to go back. Or, no, that doesn't work because there's two attackers on that piece, so I can't go here because I get forked. I can't go here. Only one square. Right, let's go. Oh dear, this doesn't look good. Okay. I might have just run into something here. Yes, so now the queen is under attack, and I was saying before that the queen had low mobility. And it might have come back to bite me, huh? So which squares can the queen go to? It can't go here, it can't go here. It can't go here because of the knight. It can't go here because of the pawn. Can't go here, can't go here, can't go here. And can't go here. And it can't take the pawn and it can't take the knight. Okay, so I'm in real trouble here. I think actually I've got to look for desperado tactics, if there are any. There might not be. Okay, you can always consider attacking your opponent's own queen. So what does a move like this do? It looks like it loses a piece because, well, he can just take the knight. No, that wouldn't work actually. Okay, here, if he takes the queen, I take his queen, and he takes my knight. So I lose a knight in that situation, which, well, it might be the best I have. Running low on time as well. My opponent's playing his moves instantly, and I'm labouring over mine, which is never a good thing. Well, you know, in other videos, I've gone with advice like if you find yourself down a piece, fight on and try and play the most active moves you can. This, I think, at least keeps me from losing my whole queen if I play here. After he takes, I take, and he takes. Well, it's not going to be fun. I'm going to be down a piece. But what's the alternative? And it also gives him a chance to go wrong by taking. Anything else? I could take here, then he takes with the bishop. That's no good, because I've still got the same problem, my queen's trapped. So let's create a threat. Alright, so he just goes instantly with the best move, which is annoying, isn't it? When your opponent just seems to have everything figured out. Okay, but his king is a bit vulnerable. Just watch out for that. I'm going to try and play active moves which pushes pieces to worse squares. He does have a check though, doesn't he? Having said that. Alright, that's not a good start. That's not a good start. Well, I've dropped a pawn. I've got to move the king. That's only one square to move the king to. He's probably going to grab my bishop. That's what he does. Trade pieces when you are ahead in material, as every young chess player is taught. This is a bit of a disaster, this game, isn't it? I mean, honestly, I haven't even really fired a shot here. Right. Well, now my rook's under attack. He probably wants me to play a move like this, because then he wins a pawn. So let's not play the move that my opponent wants me to play, at the very least. Now he's coming in with pawns, just steamrolling my position. You know, it's getting to the point where you could think about resigning, but if I'm going to have some respect and follow my own advice, that you need to keep trying even when you're in a worse position. I've got to fight on, right? I've got to fight on. There might be some tactics. I don't know. This knight needs to get to a better square for sure. Maybe I can get this pawn to move. Maybe I can convince that pawn to move, and then that would hit the rook. Looking bad though, isn't it? Right, let's play forward moves. Forward moves which generate play. If he plays here, there's a little trick maybe. With that rook on the long diagonal. I mean, he might take en passant here, and it's always possible that your opponent doesn't see something which is all the way on the other side of the board. Okay, so this is a move that I thought he might play. If I put the knight there, he'll take it, probably, and then I take it. If I take with the pawn, then the knight is really going to struggle to find a good square. But I sort of need this knight to have any chance of creating some tricks. Alright, we'll take with the pawn to try to keep the game alive a bit longer. Just playing so fast, isn't he? Like, I'm having to spend all my time on my own moves with no time to think. Which, you know, I guess that means that my opponent's a strong player. Or a computer. Don't want to accuse him of that, but he is playing extremely well. At least after the opening. I don't think he's a computer. He's just played very well after a suspect opening. Of course he wants to trade pieces, so that's why he's put his rook there, coming down on my rook. If he moves his bishop, then that's going to pretty much force the trade. Now he's got his own rook into place on this file. If I move away, I'm going to a worse square again. This is great chess by my opponent, honestly. Like, he's playing this very well. After getting the advantage, he's giving me no chances at all, which is great chess, but not great video content, is it? But you know, I've got to learn how to play bad positions too, and this is certainly one of them. Like, I've got everything against me here. My opponent's got more space, he's got better activity, and he's got more pieces. So I don't think this is going to last very much longer. I mean, if I were him, I'd be looking to bring the knight in as well. It could reach one of these two squares, both of which, well, okay, not this one, because then my rook could take it. But Well, yeah, fight on. You never know. You never know. Blunders can happen, as I know myself very well after losing some games where I should have won yesterday. Alright, so he's putting his bishop here, arguing that that's the better square for it, which he might be right. He might be right. I can just try and hold the position together a little bit longer by putting my king here, although then I get hit by this check if he sees it, which he probably will, of course. Quite a natural move, but yeah, after that check, the pawn would be forked, and it wouldn't be defended because I'd have to move my king back. There's no way to move it to any square that's not on the 7th rank, and then the rook doesn't defend it anymore. So what can we do here? Not a great deal, I feel. Can try putting this rook on this open file. Okay, and again now he's very happy to trade. Is there any way to hold on to this position? The only thing that might be able to happen is if I can somehow trade all the pawns, or get a lucky fork somewhere. Well, alright, I'm not going to initiate the trade. If my opponent wants to initiate the trade, then he can, because then at least I keep the file for one more move. It's very hard to move any of my pieces, isn't it? If I go here with the king, I get forked. If I make any pawn move, well, there aren't many of them. There's this one, I suppose, but this move undoubles his pawns and opens up the position, which is not something I want to do either. Alright, well, got to make a move, don't I? I'm down to 2 minutes. Trades, puts his other rook there. Okay, so all very logical by my opponent. I can win a pawn. Does that help? It might help a little bit. Trades, of course. All right. So what are we down to now? I'm down a piece and a pawn. No, I'm just down a piece. White's got a light squared bishop and I don't. Other than that, material is equal, which is not much consolation. Now he's attacking that pawn, and do I have any way to defend it? I don't think I do. So he is going to be up a piece and a pawn. What threats can I create? Time to get creative. I can't go to this square. I mean, just letting him take the pawn is so meek, but what else can I do, really? Yeah. Those bishops are going to be very strong very soon, with his king entering as well. I'm just trying to see, can I create anything? Can I get this knight into a? It has to find a better square than where it is, because it's just useless where it is. So he's going to take that pawn, of course. That was his whole idea, and he just wants to cruise to a nice smooth win with no tactics, no counterplay, and he's giving a check here as well. Oh, that's what that knight was doing, wasn't it? That's why I had it there. When you get down to low time and there's not many moves to make, the mistakes can start to come even faster. I'm down to less than a minute. My position is just so sad here. So sad. And now he forks my bishop. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. He's going to be up 2 pieces with better material, with an extra pawn, and with almost all his time left on the clock. So I'm going to resign that one. That was a mauling, to be honest. I was so badly beaten there. And this is by a player whose rating was not so different from my own just 24 hours ago. So back to the practice, I guess. What can we learn from that game? I mean, it all started at the beginning, didn't it? I went down material very early, and then the the second half of the game was really just him cleaning up. So let's see. I'm sure that all this is fine, but this move here surprised me, so I might have to go away and study that. Let's just put this one into the chess.com game review, see what I should have done in that position. I feel like that was probably a mistake by my opponent, but he did play it well after that. So let's go. Let's go through the moves. It's saying he played with 90% accuracy, which is very strong. It's obviously strong enough to beat me. So okay, it did say that that was a mistake, and it did say that this was the best move. So far correct. Okay, he takes back, and it's saying on the evaluation that I'm already better here. Okay, so they say that was an okay move. That was the only move that White could have played. That was the best move, so I'm still better here. That queen move was good, but this was a big mistake. All right, so this was a big mistake. This rook move, which I thought threatened material. I mean, I must admit, I didn't see the follow-up of the knight coming here, which blocks the communication between the queen and the rook. So that was, I mean, okay, so it was a bad move to start with, but it was also bad practice to not see my opponent's best reply. So what would have been better here? Let's try and work it out ourselves before getting the computer to give us the answer. I mean, the other move that I was thinking of playing here was bringing out the knight, which looks active, and it's just a natural developing move too, developing a piece. I could also consider this c6 move, which looks a little bit strange, but it prevents his knight from coming in here, which was the source of all my problems. If I had my time over again, I would actually probably play c6 to stop his knight from coming in, with the idea of coming in here next. So let's see if that's the best answer. It's also saying that that's wrong. It's saying that the best move, actually, is to come in here with the knight. That's very strange. Let's see how this plays out. Knight here. Let's see the line. The computer recommends that the knight comes to f2, but that just looks bizarre, because doesn't the queen just take the knight? But then I take the bishop. So you've got to look a little bit deeper into the line, don't you? Like, let's just see this. I mean, I thought that I couldn't play this straight away, because I'm thinking, okay, well, f2 is well enough defended, and I just stopped my calculation there. Okay, so f2 is best. Oh, okay, let's just put this on the board. Knight here, and this was the move that the computer says is good for me, because now I can take this one, and I've traded knight for bishop. My queen's in a better square. And more importantly, it's still mobile and it's still making threats. So yeah, I stopped my calculation too early. That was probably my big mistake in the game. I mean, after rook d8, it's already saying that white is +2, which is a significant advantage. It's sometimes possible to turn that around at the lower rating levels. I mean, if I'm +2, then I'm still very capable of losing a game with an advantage like that. But my opponent just grabbed on and never let go, didn't he? Well, interestingly, though, he says that knight was also a blunder. Why was that a blunder? So we were both making mistakes, because this move is still possible. Aha! I can still move the knight here in that case. All right, but after that I became reactive. His pieces start coming out. My queen goes to a square where it doesn't have great mobility, and it becomes vulnerable. When your pieces are low on mobility, they become vulnerable. Yeah, so the knight moves away. It did actually say that I should have responded to h3 by hitting white's knight, which is something I thought about, but again, probably just didn't calculate deeply enough in this game. So yeah, all right. So if then takes, then takes. I thought that white had an intermediate move though, so that's why I didn't go for it. But I guess I've just got to. Well, I've got to be more precise in my calculation, and I've got to be faster in my calculation, because in that game, even though I didn't calculate well enough. I still ended up well behind on the clock, didn't I? So that's just the journey, isn't it? You've got to be both accurate and fast when you're playing these games. Even 15 plus 10. It seems like a lot of time, but it goes by really quickly. Yeah, okay. And after the bishop comes here, I'm losing. It's saying it's +3, and we won't look at the rest. That was a lesson in calculation, I think. Well, better luck next time. Hope you learned something from that anyway. I certainly did. Subscribe to the channel for more, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.